So I'm doing my presentation on the grocery company Tesco, uh, an industry-leading company killing the River Wye alongside the World Wildlife Fund. The WHO is Tesco, the WWF, and the River Wye in the UK. Uh, the what is Tesco's chicken manufacturing supply chain. Uh, it is polluting the River Wye. When is 2022 to present? Where is the River Wye in the United Kingdom? Why the article brings to light Tesco and the WWF partnership and funding, causing reports on pollution to be swept under the rug. Uh, how, by bringing attention to this issue and holding the parties accountable, we can move forward toward a greener future with better business practices. So what, who cares? Tesco has been tied to intensive chicken production, and that is a type of production contributing to pollution of the River Wye. The River Wye is the fourth largest river in Britain. Even worse, a report by the World Wildlife Fund showcasing how intensive chicken production was damaging the river. This report was not published and was swept under the rug. It's speculated that the WWF did not publish the report to keep Tesco happy, as they're in a corporate partnership with Tesco, giving the WWF a lot of funding. The stakeholders in this are going to be Tesco, who is at the center of it. A lot of controversy, obviously, surrounding them and their actions and ties to these farms. Uh, Stakeholders are also Tesco's suppliers, two in the area being Noble Foods and Avara Foods. Uh, Avara, in particular, being reportedly responsible for 80% of the birds in the River Wye catchment area. The WWF is another stakeholder due to their partnership with Tesco. Local communities, so the residents and businesses in the River Wye area are affected by the pollution. And beyond that, since it's the fourth biggest river in Britain, it's also more than likely a water supply for a lot of these towns and cities over there. So they would also be stakeholders and affected by this. And the farmers are also stakeholders, the ones involved in these intensive chicken farms. In the literature review, you have uh, the ethical practices retaining to the earth and the environment, greener futures and emissions, and not damaging ecosystems like Tesco is doing to the River Wye. You also have truthfulness and veracity. Tesco and the WWF weren't being very truthful when they withheld that report and shelved it, keeping these ties to this pollution from coming to light. Uh, Tesco causing this pollution in the river in turn is killing the ecosystem and harming the health and well-being of the wildlife, as well as the local residents in the area. Uh, not only taking away some of their water supply, but also people probably go fish and swim in this river, and it's taken away a big chunk of these communities' daily lives if it were to keep on going and eventually kill the river. So for my three ethical keys, health and well-being was one, being that Tesco is polluting the River Wye with their intensive poultry farming in their supply chain within that area, in turn killing the ecosystem of the fourth largest river in Britain, harming the health of harming the health and well-being of the river and the locals by contaminating their water and soil. Um, just move my screen here. Shoot, 1 second. Tesco has contributed to the pollution. Uh, for my Earth Futures tab, sorry. Tesco has contributed to the pollution caused in the River Wye from chicken farms in the area, in turn heavily damaging the river's fish population and aiding in the growth of algae that once is in the river will eventually starve the oxygen and the native plants, in turn starving the fish inside of that ecosystem. Truth and Veracity, the World Wildlife Fund had written that report, and with that and their partnership with Tesco, they receive millions of dollars of funding from Tesco. They swept that report under the rug and hid it so nobody knew about Tesco polluting the River Wye and nobody giving them regulations for their production. This is going to go. So for recommendations, Tesco should reevaluate their supply chain in the River Wye catchment area, ensuring they aren't polluting the river and damaging the environment. And Tesco and the WWF should work with their reports and being truthful with them, and maybe they should have some regulations on what they can withhold and what they can't, in terms of these big corporations being involved with production on such big rivers in places like Britain or the US, wherever it is. All in all, for the conclusion, Tesco is just like most other big corporations, in that disregarding their waste and pollutants for a better profit margin. Tesco vowed that this report doesn't reflect their work with the WWF, which they're working towards minimizing water pollution, as contradictory as it is, and environmentally harmful practices stemming from the food industry. Hopefully Tesco sticks to their word and changes their ways. Otherwise, the River Wye would sadly be ultimately decimated in the future years. All the wildlife and oxygen in the river would be killed off by algae, taking away a beautiful piece of nature that is a source of enjoyment and a source of water for residents of Britain. And there are my references.